Welcome to Relaxed Reddit Readings. Today we have 6 Reddit stories for you. Reddit stories that will make you say NTA instantly. Story 1. My parents went to the bar while I was having a heart attack. So I was literally having chest pain and my heart rate spiking to 180, and my parents decided that was the perfect time to go grab drinks. Let me back up. I'm 31, and I moved back in with my parents just to get back on my feet financially, save some money, get stable again. Nothing crazy. But a few days ago I started having these really severe cardiac symptoms. Chest pain, dizziness, my left arm going numb, and my heart rate kept spiking to like 180 beats per minute while I was just sitting there resting. Not exercising, not stressed out, just resting. So obviously I'm freaking out a little, and I tell my parents what's going on. And their response? You're fine. That's it. You're fine. No follow-up questions, no checking my pulse, nothing. And then, I kid you not, they decided that was the moment to go to the bar. At 4:30 in the afternoon they tell me they'll be back in 30 minutes. 30 minutes. I said okay. Figured maybe they just needed a quick errand or whatever. 3 hours later, at 7:30 at night, they finally come back. 3 hours. While their daughter is sitting at home with a racing heart and numb arm, texting them getting no response. I want you to imagine that. You're alone, you're scared, your heart is doing something it's not supposed to do, and the people who are supposed to take care of you are just out having drinks, not answering their phone. So by the time they got home I had basically had enough. I ended up going to the hospital myself, and they actually kept me for observation because my symptoms were serious enough to warrant real testing. And here's the thing. While I was in the hospital, my parents wanted to come visit me. And I said no. I flat out refused to see them. And now apparently I'm the bad guy in this situation. My parents are saying I'm being dramatic, that I'm punishing them for one bad judgment call, that families should be there for each other during a hospital stay regardless of what happened before. My mom actually said I was using my heart problem to guilt trip them, which, if you think about it, doesn't even make sense because I didn't choose to have chest pain and a racing heart. That's not a strategy, that's a medical emergency. But according to them, refusing a hospital visit is somehow crossing a line, like I owe them access to me no matter how they treated me when I actually needed them. I keep thinking about it and I just can't get past the fact that they looked at their daughter having actual cardiac symptoms and told her she was fine before walking out the door for drinks. What if it had been serious? What if something had happened while they were gone for 3 hours? I don't think I'm being unreasonable by wanting some space from them right now. I needed them and they weren't there, and now that I'm somewhere safe with actual medical professionals taking care of me, I don't feel like I need to perform gratitude for people who couldn't even be bothered to check on me. So tell me, am I really the one in the wrong here for not wanting visitors who ditched me during an actual emergency? If you're enjoying these stories, hit that like button and let me know in the comments which story you relate to the most. Story 2. She trashed me at my own engagement party, so I uninvited her from the wedding. So my future sister-in-law stood up at my engagement party, grabbed the mic like she was about to give a sweet toast, and then absolutely torched me in front of everyone. Let me give you some background first. I'm 28, my fiancé Derek is 30, and we got engaged about 3 months ago. His younger sister Kayla, she's 24, has never really warmed up to me. She's always been polite but cold, you know the type. The kind of energy where you can tell she's just tolerating your existence for her brother's sake. Honestly, I chalked it up to normal sibling protectiveness. Some siblings are just like that with new partners, and I figured she'd come around eventually. So at our engagement party a couple weekends ago, Kayla asks if she can give a toast. And I was actually touched. I thought, okay, maybe this is her extending an olive branch, maybe she's finally accepting me into the family. I was genuinely excited. I even teared up a little before she even started talking, because I thought this was going to be a sweet moment. Instead, she basically used the toast as an opportunity to air out grievances about me in front of my entire family, his entire family, and all of our friends. She brought up private things I had told her in confidence months ago when I was trying to build a relationship with her. She twisted stories to make me look bad, made comments about how Derek could have done better, and basically painted me as some calculated gold digger who swooped in and manipulated her sweet brother. The room went dead silent. I mean, you could hear a pin drop. My mom's jaw was on the floor. Derek's own parents looked mortified. And Kayla just stood there like she'd done something noble, like she'd finally spoken her truth. Derek was stunned. He didn't really know how to react in the moment. He just kind of ushered her away and tried to smooth things over, but the damage was done. I spent the rest of the party smiling through gritted teeth, trying not to cry in front of 100 people. So here's where it gets messy. After the party, I told Derek that Kayla is no longer going to be a bridesmaid. I don't want her standing next to me while I get married. I don't want her in my wedding photos. I don't want her anywhere near my dress fitting or my bachelorette party. Derek understands why I'm hurt, but he's asking me to reconsider because it's his sister and it'll cause a massive rift in his family right before the wedding. Kayla, of course, is playing victim now, telling people I'm overreacting and that it was just a joke that went too far. Some of his family members are saying I should rise above it and not let one bad toast ruin family relationships forever. But I keep thinking, why should I have to smile at someone in my bridal party photos who publicly humiliated me at my own engagement celebration? This is supposed to be one of the happiest times of my life and she turned it into something I'll never forget for the wrong reasons. Derek loves his sister, I get that, but I also feel like he should be defending me here instead of asking me to just get over it. So was I wrong to remove her from the wedding party after that? Would you have done the same thing? Story 3. I host my brother like royalty, so why can't he give me a sandwich? So apparently I'm the jerk for not making my sister-in-law a 5-course meal when she wouldn't even give me a plate of crackers. Let me explain what's going on here. I'm 28, and I absolutely love hosting people. Like genuinely, it's one of my favorite things in the world. When people come to my place, I make an entire spread of cultural dishes. We're talking fresh breads, multiple rice dishes, curries, kebabs, homemade sweets, drinks, the whole 9 yards. I'm not exaggerating when I say I sometimes spend an entire day, like actual active cooking hours, preparing for guests. It's a labor of love for me. And when I go visit my brothers, they usually return the favor. They put in effort, they cook, they make it feel special, because that's just how we do things in our family. Except for one brother. Neil, he's 34, and his wife, my sister-in-law, also 34. Whenever I go visit them, the hosting situation is completely different. We're talking cheese and crackers, hummus and some fruit, maybe a store-bought sandwich platter, croissants from the grocery store bakery section. Nothing homemade, nothing that took more than 15 minutes to put together. And look, I'm not a snob, I don't need a feast every single time I show up somewhere. But there's a clear difference in effort compared to how I treat them and how my other siblings treat each other. So recently, Neil and his wife came to visit me, and I decided to match their energy. I didn't do my usual big cooking day. I put out some cheese, crackers, hummus, a veggie tray, basically the same kind of spread they always give me. Nothing rude, nothing insulting, just simple. Well, my sister-in-law was clearly offended. She made a comment about how she expected my famous cooking since that's what I'm known for. And I just said, oh, I figured we'd keep it casual this time, like you guys usually do when we visit. The tension in the room got real thick, real fast. Later my brother pulled me aside and said I embarrassed his wife in front of him, and that if I had a problem with how they host, I should have just said something privately instead of, quote, punishing them with a bad meal. Now the whole family is getting looped in. Some relatives think it's petty of me to essentially call them out through my hosting choices instead of just talking to them directly. Others think Neil and his wife have been getting away with lazy hosting for years and it's about time someone said something, even indirectly. My mom thinks I should apologize since hosting styles are personal and not everyone wants to spend a whole day cooking. But honestly, I feel like actions speak louder than words sometimes, and I was tired of putting in maximum effort for people who put in minimum effort for me. I wasn't trying to start a war, I just wanted them to feel what it's like to be on the receiving end of that energy for once. So tell me, was matching their energy really such a crime, or should I have just said something instead of making a point with crackers and hummus? Story 4. 3 sick kids, 0 sleep, and a husband who won't help. So I've got 3 sick kids, I'm sick myself, and my husband still expects me to run the household like nothing's wrong. Let me paint the picture for you. I'm 37 years old, I've got 18-month-old twins and a 4-year-old, and the last 3 nights have been an absolute nightmare. It started when my oldest got sick, and because toddlers are basically walking germ factories, she passed it straight to the twins. And now, guess who's the last one standing? Me. I'm sick too. My husband is 34, he's a school teacher, so his schedule means he wakes up early for work, which historically has meant that nighttime parenting duties fall on me. All of them. Every feeding, every diaper change, every moment where a toddler wakes up crying at 3 in the morning, that's me. And on top of that, I still work evenings as a waitress. I'm not just a stay-at-home parent who has nothing else going on, I'm out there working too, and I pay over half of our household expenses. So this isn't some situation where one of us works and the other handles everything at home. We're both contributing financially, but somehow the nighttime and childcare labor still falls almost entirely on me. So here's where it gets bad. 3 nights of barely any sleep, caring for 3 sick kids while getting sicker myself, and I finally hit a wall. I told my husband that I needed him to step up, that I physically could not keep doing overnight care by myself while running a fever and feeling like garbage. I asked him to take at least 1 night, just one, so I could actually rest and try to recover. And his response was basically that he has to work in the morning and he can't function on broken sleep the way I apparently can. As if I have some magical ability to operate on 0 sleep just because I'm the mom. As if my job doesn't matter, as if my body doesn't also need rest to fight off being sick. I pointed out that I also have responsibilities, I also work, I also need to be functional, and being sick on top of everything is not something I can just push through forever. He got defensive and said I always act like his job is less important than mine, which isn't only not what I said, but it completely ignored the actual point, which is that we are both parents to these 3 kids and both of us should be sharing the burden when everyone in the house is sick, including me. Now he's saying I overreacted and made him feel attacked over something we could have discussed calmly. Meanwhile I'm the one who's been up every single night with sick toddlers while running a fever myself, and I'm somehow supposed to feel bad for asking for 1 single night of help. My mother-in-law even chimed in saying that moms are just built differently and can handle sleep deprivation better, which honestly made me want to scream. So was I wrong for expecting my husband to take over childcare duties for 1 night while I'm sick too, or is he right that his job makes his sleep more important than mine? Story 5. I uninvited my friend from a free luxury cruise because she wanted to break the rules. So I offered my friend a nearly free luxury cruise, and she repaid me by trying to scam the casino and complaining about every single thing. Okay, let me explain how this whole thing works, because it's actually a pretty sweet deal when you do it right. One of my favorite hobbies is using credit card points and casino comps to score cheap vacations. I've got relationships with several cruise lines where I get offered basically free cruises, meaning I only pay taxes and fees, which usually comes out to less than $200 for a full 7-night cruise. Sometimes I add on extras like gratuities for the staff or a drink package or a specialty dining package, but even with all that, it's an incredible deal compared to what most people pay for a cruise like this. So my friend found out about my travel habits, since I travel a lot, and she asked what upcoming trips I had planned. I told her about this cruise I had booked and mentioned I could add her for a relatively small cost, since I had room in my cabin category and the offer allowed for a +1. She was thrilled, said she'd pay me back for her portion, and I figured great, we'll have a fun trip together. Well, things started going downhill pretty quickly once we actually got into the planning details. First, she asked if there was a way to get comped drinks without buying the drink package, basically wanting to know tricks to scam the bartenders or sneak alcohol on board. I told her no, that's not how this works, and that these deals exist because the casino trusts that I'll follow the rules and spend appropriately when I'm there. If I start bringing guests who are trying to game the system or cause problems, it puts my entire relationship with the casino host at risk, and I lose access to future free cruises. She kind of brushed it off, but then it kept happening. She asked about sneaking extra people into the room, asked if we could avoid paying gratuities altogether by just not signing the form, and started making comments about how she thought I should be covering more of the cost since I get these trips for free anyway, completely ignoring the fact that these comps are earned through my own gambling activity and loyalty status, not just handed to me for nothing. The final straw was when she said she wanted to bring her own alcohol on board illegally and asked me to help her hide it in my luggage since I'm the one with priority boarding. That's when I realized this was going to be a disaster. If she got caught doing something like that, it could get flagged on my account, and I could lose my entire comp status that I've spent years building up. So I made the difficult decision to uninvite her from the trip. I explained calmly why I couldn't risk my standing with the casino for her scheming, and she did not take it well at all. She's telling mutual friends that I'm cheap, that I dangled a free trip in front of her and then snatched it away out of spite, and that I'm being dramatic about a few harmless requests. But to me, this wasn't harmless, this was her repeatedly trying to get me to break rules that could jeopardize something I worked hard to build. So tell me honestly, was I wrong to pull the invite, or did she bring this entirely on herself? Story 6. My dad's wife invited my childhood psychiatrist to my wedding. So I just found out my childhood psychiatrist is on the guest list for my own wedding, and I had absolutely no idea until now. Let me give you some context because this is honestly such a strange situation to be in. I had a really difficult childhood, the kind of childhood that leads to therapy at a really young age. I was sent to see a psychiatrist when I was just 11 years old, and I saw her for a couple of years during some of the hardest times of my life. To be honest, a lot of those sessions happened while I was high on drugs, because that's the kind of chaos my childhood involved. I don't harbor any bad feelings toward this psychiatrist, she did her job, she tried to help me, and I don't blame her for anything. But that entire period of my life was incredibly painful and something I have worked very hard to move past. For years, I focused on rebuilding myself, getting clean, getting stable, becoming the person I am today, someone who is actually getting married and building a happy life. Now here's the twist. My dad's wife, who has actually been married to my dad since I was around 7 years old, so she's basically been a stepmother figure for most of my life, decided on her own, without asking me, to invite my childhood psychiatrist to my wedding. I found out completely by accident when I saw the woman's name on the RSVP list that the venue coordinator sent over. My stomach just dropped. I felt this immediate wave of confusion and honestly anger, because why would anyone think it's appropriate to invite someone who treated me during the worst, most vulnerable years of my life to celebrate one of the happiest days of my life? When I confronted my dad's wife about it, she acted confused about why I was upset. She said the psychiatrist was always so sweet, that they'd stayed in touch over the years through some parent support group thing, and that she thought it would be a really touching, full-circle moment for me to have her there to see how far I've come. She framed it like it was some kind of thoughtful gesture, like she was doing something nice for me, but she never once asked how I would actually feel about having someone from that chapter of my life present at my wedding, surrounded by people who don't know that part of my story. My wedding is supposed to be a celebration of my future, not a reunion of my most traumatic years. I don't want to look out into the crowd and see the woman who watched me struggle through some of the darkest moments of my life. It brings up feelings I have worked incredibly hard to move past, and honestly it feels like it's more about my dad's wife wanting credit for some kind of grand emotional gesture than actually thinking about what I need on that day. Now she's saying I'm overreacting and being ungrateful, that she just wanted to celebrate my growth, and that uninviting the psychiatrist now would be incredibly rude and embarrassing. But this is my wedding, and I don't think I should have to justify why I don't want reminders of my trauma sitting at one of my tables. So was I wrong to be upset about this, or should I have just gone along with it to keep the peace? If you enjoyed these stories, drop a comment telling me which one was your favorite. And if you want more relaxed Reddit readings, make sure to like, subscribe, and hit the bell so you never miss a video. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed these stories, like, comment and subscribe for more relaxed Reddit readings.